Okay, it's 6:30 and I'm calling to order Pickens County Council work session of Monday, September 15th, 2025. First item up is going to be the invocation and pledge of allegiance, which I will lead. Heavenly Father, we know the greatest wisdom always comes to those who choose to follow, serve, and honor you. Be with each council tonight. May we honor you through our discussion, our debate, and our votes, and may the results of our decisions truly benefit the citizens of Pickens County. In your loving name, Jesus, dear Lord, we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thanks to everyone coming tonight. We have Scott Lang here. He's on the phone. So I guess he'll weigh in and cast his vote, yay or nay, I imagine. Okay, first up, we've got, second item is number 2. It's going to be 2A. It's going to be a discussion to amend county organizational rules regarding boards and commissions. Okay, let's do this like we did the organizational rules, which was we vote on them one item at a time. The items get put into a draft that you'll take notes and put together, and then we'll have a final vote on Monday, October 2nd. And we'll let Scott, Council Lang and Megan present their ideas. We'll try to get a consensus just by talking it through, and we can put into a motion, as opposed to every change making a motion. We'll try to do that. I would imagine most of what you presented will just get approved, but if there are changes, just discuss them right at the beginning. So I'm going to start with 7. Everybody got a copy of what Megan and Council Lang proposed to us? Okay, so, and Destiny as well. Okay, 7-1A. You're up.
Sure. 7-1A, so we were just a little bit more specific on how individuals can come to me to apply or get an application, which now we do that totally online. Unless they come to me with an issue, then I will seek other avenues on how I can get them to apply, whether it be a paper copy, the library, coming into my office, doing it themselves. But I haven't had anybody do that yet. So we just crossed out that first part of the sentence and made it a little bit more clear on how they can reach out.
Okay, does anybody on council want to change any of this?
I have a
question.
Would it clarify more to say individuals interested in serving on a county board may apply online or obtain application information? Because you can apply without ever talking to you, correct?
You can apply without talking to me if they saw it on the county website. That was your
Yes, because to me this looks like the first step is to contact the clerk, which it used to be, but it's not anymore. So I think individuals interested in serving on a county board or commission may apply online or obtain application information by contacting the clerk of council. I suggest it.
Scott, what do you think about that?
I'm okay with that.
All right.
I think that's fine.
So it's basically what you want, Council Linville, you want to add, individuals interested in serving on a county board or commission may apply online or obtain an application.
Or obtain application information. That's saying that online or the county website. Wait, hold on. Is that the only way they can apply is online once it comes to you?
So if they don't have, if they can't apply online, like they don't have a computer or a phone, they can come in and use my computer or a county computer to apply, or I can print out an application if needed, or they can go to a local library.
Okay, then I think it's still okay. May apply online or obtain application information from you to then apply online. And that's fine.
Does anybody have any other comments about that? Okay, any other? Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to accept that. Any discussion on that? Okay, this is going to be for a draft, so it's not a final approval. It's just us trying to get a consensus. Any of those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, so 7. Yeah, 6 nothing. 5 to 6 nothing. Yeah, you're right. Okay, 7-1B There's no changes in that paragraph, so I'm gonna go on to 7.1c. Megan?
So 7.1c, the sentence I originally just added was, you must be registered, you must live in Pickens County or be registered to vote. But Destiny and Scott kind of went into a little bit more detail about redistricting and if they move out of the county while serving on the board. So Scott, would you like to speak regarding 7.1c?
Yeah, if we're saying here, they need to be a resident of Pickens County, and they need to serve within the district that they live. If something happens outside of their control, such as you see here where it says redistricting, they can finish out their term in that seat. But when that term is over, then they would have to go to their new district. They get appointed the same way through South Carolina laws. Everything else is pretty straightforward as to how they're appointed now and able to serve.
All right, councilors, any comments on this presented?
This actually doesn't say you have to live in the district. It just says you should.
Oh,
you have
just
be a
registered to
resident
vote.
and registered to vote.
Well, a lot of times, if you have like a District 4 seat on, let's say, the Recreation Board, I know like the District 6 seat has a person from District 4 in it now because there was nobody from District 6.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes you just,
So that was gonna be my question, do we wanna leave it? It's not district specific for that purpose.
yeah. Anybody else feel about that? Any other comments on that?
Yeah, actually, I did. One thing that we've taken into consideration in the past, and I had to learn this a couple of years ago, is there are folks that do not live in this county, but they have a vested interest in this county. I can give a specific example. Mary Ann Hunter was the chief nursing officer at Baptist Easley Hospital for many, many years. She served on the AOP board for us, and she lived exactly 1 mile, probably closer to 3/4 of a mile in Anderson County. But she did literally everything in Pickens County and had a vested interest in mental health in Pickens County. And I think she was a good fit on that board when she was on that board, but she would not be allowed to serve based on this language. We've had the same thing with Alliance Pickens in the past, even when it was a more active board. There were folks that their job had a beer and it made sense for them to be on that board. So there have been boards and commissions where the person may not reside in the county, but they had a true vested interest in the county, and it made sense.
Okay, so you want to weigh that? How do you guys feel?
If I may interject, Councilman, the last line of 7.1c does say that this requirement may be waived by unanimous vote of county council. So I think in a situation like that, that would be appropriate. But the language that we've got here is pretty consistent with Charleston County, Lawrence County, a lot of other counties in the upstate as well. I just wanted to add that in, that it does protect that.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, just because I do see that, but my fear is 2 years from now, folks may not think about the vested interest. If we could just add the verbiage, this requirement may be waived by unanimous vote of the county council if a person has a vested interest in the county or something along those lines, just so that it stays front of mind what the intent of that is. And I'm open to conversation.
Well, but this requirement potentially waives everything, not just at that one. It doesn't matter to me. I like the idea that they need to be in the county, but I'm okay to open it for a waiver.
Right.
So how does everybody else feel about that?
I agree with Mr. Bowers, because if someone's going out of their way to apply for Pickens County Board and Commission, it's because they really care about something, even if their residency is elsewhere. I think we've had, especially if they work here. I'm fine, especially if they're not elected. I'm fine with them not having. I think it's gonna happen so rarely that it's only for someone who has true.
Council Wallace, which is.
If you were gonna add that language, would you put it at the end of the last sentence?
Yeah, but I don't think we have to. I think it's fine. I just
So what do you want to do? You want to leave it the way it is? Or-
Well, I'm just curious what the rest of the
All
council
right.
thinks.
I want to leave it the way it is. I like it. Okay, how about you?
I definitely think there probably need to be some waiver language, just in case there is some abuse further down the road. I mean, it leaves it open for somebody living in California to be a member,
Yeah, so,
you know, so they need some type of guy.
so the waiver is this requirement may be waived by a unanimous vote of county council. So I'm okay if you want to add some words to that, Councilor Bauer.
I'm fine with it.
You're okay? Okay. We'll just leave it the way it is. Any other discussion on that? I didn't make a motion. I'm gonna make a motion to accept it the way it is, what you're saying. Second. Any discussion on this? Leaving it the way it is.
The way it's proposed.
Way it's proposed. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Same sign, it passes unanimously. Next item up is gonna be 7D. And, Council Lane, this is your baby, this one, so what do you got to say?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do here is make it easier for more members of the community to be involved in a board or commission, right? And we've got some people sitting on a couple at least that have got like 25 years on the board, and that's not conducive to more people being involved in their government. And so what I'm trying to do here is allow them to serve for a fair amount of time, but also put a limit on it to encourage more people to participate in their government. So we looked at the different terms for the boards and commissions. You got 3, 4, and 6 years. So that easily calculates into 12-year term, right? So you do 6 years, they would serve 2 terms. 4 years, they would serve 3. A 3-year term, they would serve 4. But everybody could serve 12 years, and then they would have to step out of that board or commission and either then they could seek a position on another board or commission at that point.
All right, who comments on that? I know we'll have some. Anybody disagree with that?
Well, I totally disagree with it. 100%. I think you do. I would. Totally disagree with it. There are folks that you're right have been on the board for a long time, but there's been nobody going against them or put in another application, which I've seen. I think that's the reason we bring all the applications forward. You have to have a consensus vote to put anybody on. So at any time, Mr. Roper wants to put in a 19th application, I'm just going to use him as an example. Obviously, he's not eligible. Then if we don't want him on, we just don't put him on. I think putting a cap or a limit on it, I just don't necessarily agree with it. That's where we vote and decide who stays and who goes.
I will say in my 2 years now of appointing people, I don't feel like we have the problem that was your premise, Mr. Lang. We want more people to get involved and serve. We seem to have boards and commissions that we can't find enough people to serve. If someone wants to serve a 3rd term, I'd rather have them and their experience than beat the bushes to find volunteers. So I understand the spirit behind this, and I think that future counselors can consider that when they decide whether or not to appoint someone. But I think putting the rule risks us continuing to have a lot of vacancies on boards.
I would be open to adding verbiage that this rule could be probably the same verbiage as the other.
What I was fixing to
So
say.
requirement may be waived by unanimous vote of council. Be willing to do that.
There's a rule, but you can break it.
That's fine. Let me just add one thing. Now, when a person, this is for you, Megan, when a person goes on the board, they don't automatically start a new term. So if it's a 4-year term and Mr. Jones leaves and resigns in 2 years, that person finishes up that 2 years.
Yes.
Okay, So what will happen is, in the middle of their term, they'll actually hit 12 years. At that point, according to this rule, you got to remove. Now, see, I don't want to do that, but I like this rule, but I would change it to say the following. If a person has served 12 or more consecutive years on the same board or commission, that individual is ineligible for reappointment to the same board or commission. So what happens is you don't look at it. You don't look at it until a person is actually, you don't count his number of years until he's up for reappointment. And then you look at his years, and if it's 12 or more, then he's out. But if he's 12 years and 1 day in the middle of the term, that rule will not apply. Does that make sense?
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, you can read it.
Okay.
I want you to read it. So you know. Let me just give it a good. That's the problem you're gonna have with this rule. You understand?
I do. I think that as D is written, I see where you can go with that. It says upon completion, you're not eligible to be reappointed, but the previous sentence says
It's not.
only get 12 years.
That's it. They're at that point. You're cutting them off 12 years instead. And then somebody will go hunt for that and literally say, "Yeah, all right, so it's March 26th. We got to call a special meeting to get this off." You know.
And I still think that that's where our vote comes in, and that's how you term limits work is by.
So, what do you think of that? Is it clear?
I would have to do a little bit more research on it. As it reads, I don't find that it is misleading at all. No.
Okay. So what I would want to do, does everybody see the problem that I'm talking about? Whether you agree 12 years or not, do you see the problem I'm talking about? And that has to be fixed if we go either way. You agree? Okay. All right. So what I want to do is I want to change. So basically, what I want to do is I'm going to cross out 1, 2, 3. The whole beginning from no individual to has elapsed. And that's going to get replaced with this. If a person has served 12 years or more, one more time, start over. A person has served 12 or more consecutive years on the same board or commission. That individual is eligible for reappointment to the same board or commission. That's what I would like. Council Lang, what is your take on that? Do you see what I mean by that problem?
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I mean, if they're in the middle of a term, when they hit 12 years, I'm okay with allowing them to finish out their term.
Okay.
No issue.
I like the last sentence that says, however, the individual may immediately be considered for another. And then, so what you want to add is another sentence that says, council can waive. Is that what you want to do?
No, actually, I don't. I just want to not do it at all.
Okay. All right. Anybody want to make any other changes?
The only other idea going about Councilor Linville mentioned, we have an issue as far as getting people to apply for these positions. Should we create a waiver clause if there are no applicants for a position and someone wants to stay beyond? Would you make a waiver in that situation? Or
Isn't there something in the rules that says if nobody's reappointed, the person continues on? I don't remember. Like I said, I don't have. I just know in instances I've actually voted no 3 or 4 times. Somebody's been on so that. Remember the first time I did that, people got mad at me. And just it was an instance where there were 3 or 4 applicants that Megan went out and recruited, and the person was like 30 years on the board. And I was like, this is crazy. She's doing this work for nothing. So it's not the Supreme Court. It's not a lifetime appointment. That's how I look at it. Whether the council feels that way or not. So that was my take. Okay, so how do you think we have to write this to get it?
How would you word that? If there's no other applicant.
well, basically, I'd say if there are other applicants available and the individual has served that's on there 12 plus years, we'll look at the other applicants first. Something to that effect.
That's exactly what happens every time we review anyone. Basically, y'all are saying, oh, well, we're just gonna look at and to see if there's someone better to appoint, we will. That is the entire process. Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
And Councilor Sanders, to your point, you said you thought someone shouldn't be there longer than 12 years, another councilor should. The discussion was had and a vote was made.
No, it wasn't 12 years, 34 years. It wasn't 12 years.
But that's interesting that that person had served that long and other people wanted to keep them there, even though there were other applicants, so they must have been a very stellar member of that commission. So, I don't know, I'm leaning towards, let's let this be merit over time.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion for what we're gonna strike that first sentence from, we'll see how it goes in. Strike that first sentence from no individual shall to has elapsed. And the word, Scott, let me just make this motion, then we'll get a discussion. Person has served 12 or more consecutive years on the same board or commission. That individual is ineligible for reappointment to the same board or commission. And that last sentence will be there, however the individual may be immediately considered. So that's my motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay, discussion. Mr. Lang, you want to go first? You get ready? Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I think that'll work. I think that still keeps the, intent of the rule is to encourage more people to participate on our boards and commissions. So I'll be okay with that.
So the way this reads, 10 to 12 years, you got to come off. Stay off for a year, then you can go back on that same board.
Yes.
Stay out for a term.
Oh, but I'm actually striking
This part,
yeah. All that.
Once you're off, you're off.
Yeah, I'm striking everything from the beginning to elapsed.
Give us 12 years and then we're done with it.
There you go. You can go somewhere in another book.
I can see both sides of this. Because it's getting harder and harder to get good people. So one term, you can't come off for a year and then serve another 12 years.
Well, actually, in this case, you can come off for my rule. You can come off for a day and serve. My
Different board. Not the same.
yeah, actually, well, no. That's not what I wanted to happen. The way my rules were.
So you're gonna have to strike last the other board.
No, it just says, mine says if a person has served 12 or more consecutive years on the same board, individuals ineligible for reappointment to the same board or commission. Period. And then,
So there's no chance you can go back on that. 12 years is up.
no, you could wait until the next positions open up, come around and go back on. Because at that point, not that I'm saying I want this, but when you go to reapply, you're not gonna have 12,
That's not what you just said, though. You're not eligible. That means you're ineligible. That's a lifetime of ineligibility.
the person has served 12, yeah, I think you're right the way it's written. If a person has, I guess my way, I would say, if the last 12 years, the person is served. You're right, yeah, so you'd come off, 12 years, you're done. That's my motion.
No chance of ever
Going back on.
Roll.
Now it's not parole, it's just, you serve 12 years, we give another people a chance.
I'm not too sure. I just want to thank somebody. Never.
No, not any board, just that one board.
What I'm saying, I'm not sure. I want to get the whole term limit thing,
What would you do?
but I don't think stay off for a year and then you can go back on if you wanted to. I'm torn on this one.
I was like, you have to swing votes, so you didn't. Right. How do you feel, Dan?
Well, I just don't want us to cut our nose off, spite our face. And have some positions open and no one to fill it, and we just boot somebody out that would want to. That's my only concern.
I just don't think.
What if you put the language to be waived by unanimous vote? I mean, I hate to do that.
That's fine.
As an out.
That's fine. So I'm gonna make a substitute motion to have that, add that language. Okay.
Discussion on that, so here's the deal, with this council consensus on this council, we'll never get a unanimous vote, so why even waste your time putting that language?
That's not true. That's not true. I may consider. That's not true. You don't know that. I may consider. I can give you the specific answer. Specific people. There were other people applying. I remember making the argument that she went out and did such a good job with the people who had never applied for boards, who came in, filled out applications. We put people on there that were 25, 35 years on the board. Yeah. One time we took somebody off because I won the argument, and then they ended up putting the person back on again later. They like changed their mind.
So it sounds like the process worked. There was a discussion among council people that it was right for the position or not. That's my thing. I'm uncomfortable with having a series of rules that all end in a sentence that says, or you can unvote this. Makes this thing without point.
So we can unvote anything, it takes 3 readings to do it.
Right, you just have to change the rules again.
I think it's just one reading on this, right?
So that was actually gonna be my question, is this a resolution or an ordinance?
I think, and Megan could look into this, but I think it was adopted by resolution.
It was.
Okay.
2006.
Okay, so we have my words, and then we have wavering it, 12 of them, 6 of them, or unanimous. Any other discussion on that? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Scott, you for or against? See there?
Scott,
Sorry, I'm good.
So, I see the aye, okay, those opposed? Okay, that passes 4-2. Now, what we're gonna do on October 2nd, we're gonna vote this in pieces as well, by the question and we'll vote it. Okay, next item up is going to be, so Megan, you got the details on that? 7-1B, Megan, I think this is your change, so why don't you give us your take on that?
1B.
Yes.
Am I missing a page?
That's what you just did, so.
No, I did
No, we just did
71D.
No, but there's also 7-1E, it looks like you got. Did I say D?
No, you said,
Okay.
you said,
E, which is just it's
You're gonna
eliminating.
Strike.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's in my scribble. Strike that. I don't do that currently. It's really just during the application period, and of course, I'll let council know if a board cannot meet due to lack of a quorum. So, if y'all would like to continue just getting those updates about any boards that don't meet a quorum, and then during the application period, and from July to September, I usually send y'all a couple of emails about the master spreadsheet and the vacancies report. And continue
Make
to
that motion, that we strike section E.
second that.
Okay. Any discussion on
Yeah,
that?
just for context, originally when this was 2016, it used to be month to month, we voted on boards and commissions, so it made sense, that language did make sense. And now, in order to streamline the process, we don't vote on boards and commissions month to month, only when we don't have a quorum, and we try to do at one time other than that, so striking this language makes complete sense.
I do have a question about the only if there's not a quorum. So if we have a commission that maybe is a body of 7 and one person is left, so it's 6, and we have an application sitting, we will not consider that application until our December timeframe because they're still able to have quorum.
Not necessarily. I know Chairman Zeta doesn't like things just sitting around. He wants to get it done. So usually we'll meet about it, or I'll let y'all know if there is a vacancy in an application. Like right now, I have 40 applications for this new period, but we do have some of these seats vacant, so I think we're gonna discuss that in October.
Well, my only question about that is, say somebody resigns in February, and somebody just happens to fill out an application. Is that actually a public gathering of all the best applicants for that one seat? Like, I understand why we would wait until a time in which everybody was called and not do it throughout the year. So I guess really my question is it lack of quorum that prompts us to look for people? And at that point, is it made very, very public that we need to fill all those seats? Or is it just one person's gone, we need to replace it? What triggers us to look for applicants and then vote on it?
We got a lot of boards right now that don't, but they're not meeting. So I think there's a couple points I want to make. One is, I think under the leadership of, I think it was Mr. Bowers or Constance, they went to this one time a year, which was a great idea. Really, because she was just doing it all year long. And it was just this revolving applications that were not only coming into her that she had to keep track of, and the council was doing. It was really, I wasn't on council. It must have been really. So what we're trying to do, and I agree with what they did, and I am trying to enforce myself, is to do this just one time a year, and to make her busy work as least as possible. And that big shift that they did years ago, kind of doing now, is doing. So it's kind of moving in that direction. So I think the appeals board probably has no members. My sense is it probably hasn't had a meeting. So
Recently, I think they did have to meet.
yeah, was it? No,
But that was the first time in literally a year.
Okay. So I agree with this Councilor Bowers that perfect, just to strike it out. Any other comments on that? Okay, so I'm going to call for the vote to strike item 7.1E. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Scott?
I'm all right with that.
Yeah, he's okay. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimous. Okay, next item up, this is going to get a little difficult here. Next is going to be 7.2A. Before, I tossed this to Megan and Mr. Lang. I want to ask a question. 7.2A. This talks about conduct of boards, commissions, and then what are the rules? Under the rules, some of the boards, and I'm the attorney. Some boards we can remove people at will. Some boards we can only remove them at call for cause. So do you have a rule that you can tell us, or a list of the boards at will we can remove people at cause, so we know the difference?
Sure. No, yeah, that's a good question. I've started working on an Excel sheet that does exactly that. It shows which boards can be removed at will, which boards can be removed, for cause. Generally speaking, though, if a board or commission is enacted by statute, that is a higher burden. Therefore, that has to be removal by cause. If a board serves at the pleasure of council, that board can be removed at will. And I do have a list that I can go through with you guys and send to you as well. But I've just started kind of looking through this, and very clearly on, if you're looking on our website, you can see that if anything, such as like, for example, it's lateness taxes, that's enacted by state law, that obviously has a higher burden, therefore that has to be removed for cause. But I can certainly kind of show you guys what I've got as well.
Why don't you just create that list and send it to us?
Sure.
And just make sure that Megan has it in hand.
Sure.
So we know.
Perfect.
Okay, so 7.2, is that answering your question?
Well, could you clarify the process of at will or for cause, what those terms mean?
You want clarity on what at will means? Just to understand. Sure. So basically, it's all based on South Carolina law, right? And I'll be happy to give you a quick memo on that in the morning for sure. But in short, removing someone for cause, it really is a high burden, right? And the South Carolina statute goes in depth on malfeasance, misconduct, things of that nature. But case law does put a higher burden for cause. Whereas at will, the council does have a lot more latitude when it comes to that.
Right. At will, you don't even need a reason.
Right. Correct.
Now, what it is let me just expand on it, because I researched this, and I think my research is good. When you look at the Attorney General opinion when they talked about this, they said, first of all, this is a state function, state law, state function to remove somebody from cause. So when you looked at the Attorney General opinion I got from, I can't remember how far back it goes, and the actual date, it was 6/13/08. I looked at it, and it basically said, there's no definition of cause or cause in the state statute. So what judges will do is they'll look two places in the statute. First place they look at is the Constitution, Title number 6, which is the suspension, prosecution, and removal of officers. The second place that the judge will look will 13-240, where the governor can remove officers. Now, what I did is I pulled that out, pulled those two things out. And when you actually look at that law, you're going to see the wording. You're going to see the wording of the first 5 lines in our rule. Because whoever wrote this knew what they were doing. At least the first 5 or 6 lines of the rule. But that's the exact word. Did you write it?
Yeah. It felt good. I was just enjoying the moment.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing because they knew that there's no definition in the law. They knew where the judges will look, and then they said, okay, let's use that wording because if we remove them for other reasons, they're going to look at the state law and say, well, that's not in the state law. You can't do it. So that's there. So if you look at those words, malfeasance and all that, that's in the Constitution. That's in that law. That's what they're looking at. That's all I wanted to say there. All right, where are we? 7-2A. Okay, so Megan and Council Lang, what do you got on 7-2A? Conduct for boards and commissions. You want to make one change, it looks like.
Yes, in section 4 of 7.2A, I was just a grammatical error. The county administrator and or his or her.
I'll make a motion to we
Anything else people want to change in the conduct? Okay. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, so that passes unanimously, 7-2A. We're going to go to 7-2B now. I would say, Megan, this looks like another one of yours, 7-2B.
Yes, actually, Scott put this out. Scott, if you'd like to speak on it, 7.2B, the removal. On the last sentence, we said in paragraph C below and marked out the rest. You see it, Scott?
Yeah, we just, like Megan said, we took out that last one and we just added paragraph C has the removal for cause as shown. And we kind of spelled it out a little bit just to give us some guidelines on what we can and can't remove somebody for cause for. If that makes, if I'm saying that right.
Yep, the question I have for you is that B has got a strike through it. That's an error.
Error, sorry.
That's not supposed to be
B
straight.
is not supposed to be strict?
It's not.
not the letter B.
Oh, not the letter B.
Not
but
the
are
letter
those-
B.
But all those final sentences are supposed to be about expiring terms of service?
Yes, the last 2 sentences.
We never do that.
Yeah, that's.
We never enforce it. That's why it's coming out of county.
I'll make the motion that we adopt the changes as presented.
Yeah, less B. B is not supposed to be struck.
Without the D
I'll second. Any discussion on that? Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. That passes unanimously. Okay, 7-2C. I know, I heard it. 7-2C. Megan and Council Lang, what do you got?
I don't see anything in that section.
Okay, the one thing that I want to change there, when you look at these two laws, Constitution statement, there's one word that's in here that was missed in our rules, not in the rules. If you look at Constitution Article 9, incapacity, that's in there. Neglect of duty, that's in there. But misconduct is not in there. And I think we should add the word misconduct. Item number 5, conflict of interest, comma, misconduct.
Is misconduct not, I mean, if you started defining misconduct, wouldn't you use all of these other words?
Not necessarily.
Like a crime of moral turpitude sounds like. I don't know,
The reason I'm thinking it's gotta be added is because I want our rules to line up with the law that
Chairman said I'll make a motion that we add misconduct to section 4, incompetency, misconduct, incapacity, absenteeism, disconnected duty. And that just lines up with incapacity, misconduct, like the Constitution.
That's fine. I'll second that. Anybody, any discussion, anything else about this section? Well, I think this is one item.
I guess the burden of work is on somebody accusing someone of misconduct would have to
Misjudge.
convince somebody what misconduct is. They don't have to find
It's Constitution.
Yep.
Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Scott?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, 6-0. All right, now 7C, I want to just say this, to throw it out there. I want to stay on this for 1 minute. I'm saying 6, 7, and 8. If you go to remove somebody for cause for those things, and the judge looks at this, again, that person's going back on the board, in my opinion. Because let's say I'm on a board, and now political interest to me is, I define politics as the public coming to me and saying they want something. Now, politicians do that all the time. Now, if somebody says, or so let's say a narrow interest, organized interest comes to me and I do it, they'll say that's really politics. They're going to argue that I should be removed from that board. Or I'm going to argue two things. One, I'm listening to this group, which happened to organize itself. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm listening to them. The second thing is, Judge, it's not in your rules here, state law. I think I'll win that case. Now, I just want the attorneys, you, and then Mr. Rourke, I want you to weigh in on that to see what you think. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe you just leave that in.
Sure, no, I think that, in reading the statute, I think the law provides a higher burden for officers. I think here, though, the council does have a lot more latitude as it relates to, appointees, right? And so with that, though, specifically speaking, I do think that the language here is a bit more vague, right? But with that being said, because the board does have a lot more latitude, because these are appointees and not officers, I do think you have a bit of leeway there.
Good, that's a good answer. Sam?
Yeah, I'm worried about, start to say VI. Not a good way to start. 6, I'm worried about 6. If you think about somebody on a board or commission for the county that said something very negative about somebody that might have been harmed earlier, where else would it fit?
What do you mean? I don't get it.
I'm making a reference to.
So Clemson University fired some folks today.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Due to Facebook or social media posts from the recent killing of Mr. Kirk. I saw that they did suspend some and they terminated some. That would be the language you would be able to use. 6 would be the language you'd be able to use if that were to happen with one of our board of commission members, if you wanted to go down that path. And I'm not suggesting at this moment, I'm just simply saying that is the path that you would be able to take, because that would look ill towards the county. Pick anything you want to. That's just one that's in front of mine at the moment.
So you like the word?
I do, in the sense that I want y'all to have that tool if it's necessary. If
Okay.
somebody went out on a wild limb that does not reflect, y'all's policy position, I think you would want at least that toolbox.
So it's worth noting the Elections Commission is a state appointed one that has a higher level. And they went through a major issue of somebody choosing a few years ago and ended up involving the governor. And so then that board wrote in clearer rules about how you have to behave on social media. I don't want us to go down that kind of nitty gritty of personal lives and posts of our lovely volunteers who are choosing to be on boards. I hear you that by leaving this vague, it gives us the freedom if someone really is out there saying awful, terrible things, whether it be social media, in public, at meetings, at church, wherever they are, they're saying awful, awful things. You kind of don't want them in a appointed position. So I like the vagueness of it, but it does make me worried that it also could be used with perhaps a lot of latitude with in something that's politically charged. But it's probably better to have it in there than not. To your point, Councilor Seda, about if we remove someone and what they try to go up to a judge about being angry about being removed from their volunteer position, but I'm not gonna get paid anymore. Yeah, I guess I'm okay with leaving it in there as vaguely as it is, but.
The problem with 7, to go to the next one, just want to talk about these 3, is similar to what the counselor is saying. And that's where you don't know what private is modified.
Right.
Private political interest is the opposite of what you're talking about, Mr. Chairman. You're talking about, public doesn't want that. That's political interest. They should listen, right?
Yeah.
But private economic interest, of course, you don't want them making a vote based on a private economic interest.
Well, there's ethics laws against that, right? You can't vote on something that benefits you, family members, or somebody individually you're associated. That's redundant.
So yeah, that
That's
where it says
what-
private,
that's
I
what-
think is the problem, where it flies.
I'm okay with it. It's fine. I mean, I can rewrite it myself, but
And then the problem with 8 is it's just self-referential.
yeah, I think what it is, in my opinion, I think there's 2 things here. There's a code of conduct, which are guidelines. And if you go look at the code of conduct, I don't think, in the court of law, I don't think we can remove people for him. Frankly. Now, to me, code of conduct is guidelines. You put that out there and say, hey, this is what we want you to do. If you don't do it, we'll send you away. Now, to me, removal for cause is this law here. That's how I would do it. This kind of mixes them a little bit. It makes it gray. She's okay with it. I'm okay with it. Like I said, I'm just saying that's how I would do it. All right, we done with that one? Misconduct was added? That was it, right? Anything else? Okay, next thing is gonna be item 7.2D. No changes on that. Oh, yeah, should make one change. It's that slash. I'm gonna make a motion to add that slash first line. Do I hear a second?
I'll second for discussion. Is that a / or a backslash?
Or word.
I joke.
Any discussion on that? By the way, you know where this wording comes from? This wording, Mr. Roper, and you know this, this wording comes from the Constitution, Article 15, Section 3. It says, officer intended to be removed shall be notified of such cause or causes shall be admitted to a hearing, his own defense, or by his counsel, or by both. That's where that comes from. That's grounded in state. Very good job. It was well written. I looked at it. So much see? We did. We voted on this copy. Okay, so now a motion and second was made on the slash. Any discussion on that? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Next is 7.3. Megan, that looks like you.
Yes, let Councilman Lang speak to this as well. Right now, for conduct of meetings, we have all boards and commissions will follow the organizational rules of council for conducting meetings unless other rules have been approved by council. I think Councilman Lang just also wanted to throw in Robert's Rules of Order. That sentence.
Yep, that's correct. That's correct. I just want to make everybody aware on the boards and commissions that there are rules, and a lot of them I don't think are aware or that they even know Robert's rules, have any familiarity with Robert's rules. So this is to get them familiar with it, and to make sure that the chairman and the vice chairman know Robert's rules and are following those.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to accept 7.3 as presented. The packet, do I hear a second?
Second.
Those in favor, raise your right hand. Have discussion? Any
Yeah.
discussion?
Why is it Robert Rules of Order newly revised? There's also a newly revised in brief, there's like various versions of this book. Is it worth
what we have in our organization.
Was that the latest?
Okay. In our section, Rule 1.2, it says the rules contained in this current edition of Robert's Rules of Orders newly revised. So we honestly just copied from that.
Okay, that's
It's in
fine.
council's organizational rules, but
I was just looking, the latest edition is newly revised edition 12, so maybe they just leave newly revised and change the edition number. I just want to make sure we don't tie the book titles.
I think you're right. It just the edition.
Okay.
And just for point of clarity,
double check
it is redundancy because they should be following council rules, but it is putting it in the forefront. But it is redundancy what the expectation is.
Any other comment on that? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Both same sign, passes unanimous. Next item, last item on this is 7.4. Megan, I expect this is you.
So I saw this section in another county. I want to say it was Lancaster County, but I just thought it would be good to put the expectations for agendas and minutes for each board, which is make sure that it's filed within the council office 24 hours before the meeting start date, and then making sure that those boards get me those approved minutes within 10 days of them approved. To make sure that our records and the county website is up to date for boards and commissions. And it's just complying with FOIA. That's already a rule within the freedom of vote.
There's a slight grammar weirdness in that last sentence. Should say also within 10 days after the approval of such comma, remove the word by. The board or commission, remove that comma, shall file copies.
Let's see, also within 10 days after the approval of such minutes, the board or commission, remove that second comma.
Or it can be within approval of such minutes by the board or commission, it has to again say the board or commission shall file copies. Just, it doesn't have a
So
subject.
within 10 days after approval of such board or commission shall file a copy. Yeah, I think your changes are correct. So approval of such minutes, comma, get rid of the word board,
By. Get rid of the word
by rather, and then the board or commission, get rid of that comma, shall file. So I'm gonna make a motion to accept that.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
How often do you get agendas and minutes?
Agendas are good within 24 hours. It's the minutes that sometimes.
I've had constituents email me and say, I'm trying to get minutes to the last meeting, I can't find them. But to be clear, they don't have to have the minutes of the previous meeting. They don't have to have draft minutes. So you can go into a meeting without having publicly shared the minutes of the previous meeting because they haven't been approved yet.
Just like council.
Right, so the minutes of a board commission aren't public until after the meeting that follows.
Yes. So,
Okay, I think people have trouble understanding that, because they want to know what happened at the meeting. They'll be like, I can't find the minutes of last week's meeting.
I get emails all the time.
They
Yeah.
want them to meet.
They want them immediately, but they have to be approved.
All right, any other discussion on that? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign, passes unanimously. Okay, we're done with that. You're gonna get us a copy changed for the October 2nd meeting. We're gonna vote on that. Some of these quick things, items we might be able to bulk into one, 6-0 votes. One or two of them we'll probably vote on and split that question out, just so people can vote out separately. Next item is gonna be 2B, the second reading of an ordinance providing for amendments relating to the county road ordinance. This is an administration goal. So Mr. Roper, you're gonna present on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is basically what catches up to where we were prior to the council changing over to the new council. So where we were, you gave the first reading, which I appreciate. The second reading would then get us back caught up to that. And basically, there's three things that are accomplished in this. Number one is it takes out redundant language from the UDSO that sets out some road standards separately from the road standards that are set out elsewhere. So it does away with the redundant standard or this different standard in some cases, just puts it in one place. And says, if you're in the UDSO and you want to know about roads, it refers you to the road section of the code. It seems like that's the simplest way to do it. And then there's another section in here that basically says the county's the final authority on whether or not a new street or roadway can connect to a county road. And that's something that we didn't have really in the county ordinance before. We operated that way, but we wanted to say that specifically, and we basically lifted that language from Dorchester County, redone their road ordinance, and we found that. And then the third thing that's accomplished is basically taking information about how the minimum maintenance roads are characterized. Many years ago, council suspended the minimum maintenance road program. And that minimum maintenance road program was, you don't have to bring your road up to county standards, and we'll start scraping it every now and then for you. And the problem with that is that every single instance when we did that, the people believed, for whatever reason, that we were going to pave the road. And some of the roads are not pavable. I mean, they'll be barely wider than a car. It'll go right next to a house. You wouldn't want to pave it. It'd be unsafe. But every single instance, those people, when they signed the process to make it a maintenance road, they believed they were going to get the road paved. Don't know why that is. So many years ago, the council suspended it. I think this may have been back in 17 or 18 when they suspended it. This would basically say the ones in the system now we continue to maintain. But we're taking that whole process out of it, so we're not going to do that. I think it was a policy from a bygone era, basically. So that was the idea there. But the ones that are currently in the system, we keep maintaining them as we have been maintaining. We don't want to turn it back on citizens that are relying. And then there's another part that's not in here. You'll see it's in here as a placeholder. That placeholder is basically meant for technical changes that need to happen to the county road ordinance. We never got to that last time. And as a matter of fact, I got those technical changes from the county public works director today, but I did not want to email a whole system of technical changes to you and expect you vote on those tonight. So what I would ask is that we move forward with second reading, and then we have another work session where you can actually look at the technical changes, like the radiuses of curves and those sorts of things. That will be in those changes. But I believe that's it, Mr. Chairman, unless you have any questions.
This is pretty much what we approved 2 or 3 times.
This will actually be the fourth reading, but we just restarted it.
Also, I'll make a motion for second reading for this road ordinance as presented in the packet. Any discussion on this? Okay, so we're going to have this for a work session next month.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what date that's going to be?
Let's see. It's not the 6th. That's the normal meeting, so it'll be
20?
20th.
Work session. Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. The next item up is 2C, which is a second reading of an ordinance for amendments to the Pickens County Code relating to unsafe property. Okay. This was my goal, so I'm going to lead on this one. There's not much left of it, but we'll try to get through as quick as we can. In this section, what I'm going to do is make a motion to divide the question so we can vote on each of these sections separately in second reading. So I'm making a motion to do that. Wait here a second. Okay. This is a motion to divide the question so we can vote on this stuff separately. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, Scott?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, we're gonna go through this one at a time. We had overgrown grass, weeds, overgrown grass and weeds on the lawn. The administration recommended limiting that to 15 inches. The majority did not support that. So has anyone who voted against this new rule to be changed, has they changed their mind? Okay, nobody's changed their mind, so that's the time, we're gonna just move on. Next thing was abandoned pools. The administration proposed all pools shall be maintained in a clean and sanitary condition in good repair. If a pool is not in operational order, it must be drained and or covered for life safety purposes. That failed 4-2. Now, do you want to take another stab at this?
I will, and what I'll do is staff came back to us because I listened to what you all said about they're just defects in what was proposed there. And then Ms. Pratt went through this afternoon. And then we were talking about it again as we were having our dinner tonight, Megan, Destiny, and I. So it continues to evolve a little bit. Let me tell you what codes enforcement said. They said that they wanted to resubmit this because it's a problem they really see. And you should have had emailed to you some language that says basically we're going to define abandoned pools for the purposes of this section. A pool for human use means an above ground or in ground structure, basin, or container of water designed for swimming, wading, or recreational bathing by humans. Sounds like a delightful vacation. Wonderful. B, maintenance required. All pools for human use shall be maintained in a clean and sanitary condition and kept in good repair. C, and this language that was emailed to you, we've actually modified again a little bit. We'd like for you to consider non-operational pools. Any pool for human use that is not operational shall be either completely drained and covered in a manner to, or in this case, this is slightly different. I apologize, Council. Be completely drained and covered in a manner to prevent accidental entry, or in the case of above ground pools, covered in a manner to prevent accidental entry. So the idea is it addresses the concern Councilor Holloway had. Staff recommends that. Obviously, we know that we're in the early stages.
Oh, you do? Okay.
What about, we discussing that?
No, not. Let them finish.
Yeah, so you see the section there that's emailed to you all, but we've actually, based on our discussion, since this was emailed, refined C to say under 1, you see C1, it should say completely drained and covered in a manner that would prevent accidental entry, or 2, in the case of above ground pools, covered in a manner to prevent accidental entry. So this sets a different standard for above grounds, which need the water to maintain their structural integrity, versus in grounds that don't need water.
Okay, so anybody who voted against this now, and you're allowed, because the two that voted for it, but we can't bring it up. So if any of the 4 you just want to make a motion to at least discuss this in detail, you can do that. If not, we'll just move on to the next item. Councilor Bauer, you want to do that?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to just move on to the next item. All right, next up is going to be, what I would do is present that again, the copies in front of us at third reading. We can look at it. One of them changes their minds. Read the
Those of us who voted for it aren't allowed to bring it back up. The
No,
minority can.
No. So it's really dependent on them. So you got to try to persuade one of them. Okay, next is abandoned vehicles. Council Bowers wanted to further discuss this, and the council agreed. So Council Bowers, what do you want to say about abandoned vehicles?
Thought I might change my mind or have something better. I struggle with it. I've tried over the last 2 weeks to look around, drive around and see, and I still struggle with it. So I was hoping I would change my mind in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think about what Councilman Wallace said, jokingly, but it's actually a serious point that, glad I didn't buy that, see it at 250,
Any other discussion on that? This is something I think we just tabled, so we can all I'm not going to make a motion. I'm just going to give you a discussion on it. Right now, if the vehicle's in need of repair, wrecked, or decaying, and it doesn't have a tag, it's abandoned, and it needs a cover. Now, there's exemption for wreckers, junkyards, and farm equipment on farmland. So that's what we have now. That's what's going to continue forward. I made a motion to make that stricter, and nobody, I don't think that even got seconded. I can't remember why, but it failed. So if we do nothing, you're going to have what we have now, which is what you have in the past. Now, is everybody okay with that? I mean, I'm not, but obviously I can't change it. So
It will stay as is.
yeah, it's gonna stay as is. Nothing change anything. Now everybody's okay with that? Scott, Council Lane, got something you want to say? No?
No, I think I'm all right.
Okay, all right. So that one's gonna just stay the way it is. It's probably gonna get another look at third reading, but That's where we're at. Okay, next item is number 4, which is the trash definition. Okay, there's already a prohibition of piling trash in the yard. That's in the law right now. The administration proposed a separate definition of household trash to make it clearer for the public and the officers. This was passed twice. It was 19-35. So, Mr. Roper, you want to talk about that?
I think what you said already, I'm just gonna make that less clear.
Okay, so
The definition is there. I think makes sense the way you explained it.
okay, so what we did is, I'm just gonna make a motion for second reading to accept the separate definition of trash in 19-35. Now, any second on that?
That's the one we already did, right?
That's the one we did.
Yeah, second.
Any discussion?
What is the purpose?
The purpose is this, is when you look at the junk definition, and this was when I went with the guys, went out 3 times. And they said, we got, she said we have 3 things. We have construction debris, we have junk, which is mostly scrap, and then we have household trash. Those 3 things that are in 2 definitions. We'd like to divide them into 3 so it would be clearer. Now, so what the administration did here, and I agreed with, is to take the word trash out of the junk definition, give it its own definition, say it's household trash, so it's clearer. And then have that passed, and then when you go to the junk definition, just take out the word trash. It doesn't increase the enforcement, it doesn't change the enforcement. If this fails, they're still gonna go after construction debris, they're still gonna go after junk, they're still gonna go after trash. It just makes it clearer. None of this increases any enforcement. It's just making it clearer. That was the purpose.
So if it doesn't change anything, why?
Because it makes it clearer. To somebody that reads it. So like when you read the definition of no person shall permit household trash, litter, or solid waste, which is not in a litter receptacle or is left exposed to the elements, invisible from any, versus trash. Because I can tell you what happens in my district, enough that it's a problem. People go to the recycle centers. They don't leave, they get their kitchen trash bags, they just put them outside sometimes. And they sit there for days, weeks, months. And I can tell you, it's not just trash. It's not just the trash thing. Bags of trash. Junk in the yard. Beer cans all over the wall. Grass up to the windowsill. Neighbors complaining about drug use. That's usually what's going on. So it's not just one thing. Some guys just got 2 trash cans, 2 bags of trash on the porch. It's usually far worse than I can give you the addresses.
The thing I would say there, Mr. Chairman, listening to you explain that is this gets you out of the argument. You're just talking about trash bags, arguing over whether it's junk or whether it's an antique that they've been, if it's a trash bag, it's trash. It gets it out of that whole section. So we're not arguing about.
A trash bag should be pretty self-explanatory.
It should be, but you got to think about a jury listening to this. And beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest standard known to Western jurisprudence, right? So if it's clear and it says trash separately, that's something they feel like they can clean up some yards with without getting bogged down in this junk definition. That's the idea. That's what Austin said here last month.
Also,
So you seconded?
I seconded it.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay, so we're gonna just do that. Trash definition. Those are,
Here being, it's easier for our code enforcement officers to enforce a code if we have a separate.
Just say you
But we're not changing anything about how they do it, we're just clarifying the depth.
just for reflection, sometimes I put things in trash bags to keep them dry. Does that give them a reason to come on my property to see what's in my trash bag?
You just put a trash bag on something. They could come up and knock on your door and say, hey, we see you got some trash up there. Like, that ain't trash, whatever. But they'd have to know.
See what I'm saying? They have to know it's household trash.
It's not defined as saying it's in a trash.
No, but you're looking for household trash, you would think household trash would be in a trash bag.
You would think that. That would be strong circumstantial evidence.
I think what they do is, and I've been out 3 times. I think what they do is they use discretion. They use lots of, but there is a law that says you have to stop at the stop sign. There's a law. Now, if some woman, old lady, drives up and rolls through the stop sign, that police officer will pull her over and say, "What's going on?" She'll give an explanation. He'll let her go. He won't write a ticket. They use discretion all the time. And he's not automatically just going to pound out tickets for the stop sign. I remember a police officer saying to me, "Because you didn't even roll through it. Because you just went through it." You know, I mean, at that point I was there. So there was no discretion. So they use discretion all the time. These guys are using discretion all the time. I saw it because they were kind of tiptoeing, I thought, the whole time. I don't think that it's hard enforcement at all. It's when you're getting neighbors complaining at the neighbors, and it's not just one thing. It's 19 that have been out there for 3 months. That's where that's what I say. I got a whole file. I got logs. You guys all know it.
Right. But they get in court and argue, that's not junk.
Okay. Those in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Those opposed? 4 to 1. 4 to 1. Did you vote no? Chris?
Okay.
Did you vote yes? Okay, so 5 to 1. All right, so that passed 5 to 1. I didn't see that. Okay, the next item is the last item, which is the junk definition, which is in 10-73. And it's not really written on there, but it's got the junk definition has the word trash in it. 10-73. Now, if you look at that, it's in the code.
Not 19-36.
1936, so I.
Well, I mean, it's existing right now is in 1073.
But in front of me tonight.
In front of you tonight, I don't know what's.
Okay.
That came out of the conversation. That's what whole.
Okay, so yeah, you see that's crossed out. That was going to be the new definition. That was going to be the new definition because the word trash isn't in there. You see, the word trash is taken out.
Oh, yeah, so it says in the comments that was moved from section.
Yeah, that was so that's fine. So what I want to do is since trash has got its own definition, I want to bring back that definition that's struck here. Because that one doesn't have the word trash in it. So just so it's not redundant in both places. It's just cleaner. That's all. You don't need the word trash in that junk definition. Does that make sense? If we pass the first one, we just did.
I don't see the word trash struck in anything in front of me.
No, but if you look at 10-73, which is the current ordinance, it has the word trash in it. Do you see that?
So you want to go back to the current ordinance?
Well, or we can approve this one that's struck out here. It's the same thing.
The word trash isn't in there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The administration proposed this, and when we shot this whole thing down, it got kind of shot down. So what I want to do is bring that back, that section of definition of junk, and say it doesn't need the word trash in there. It's got everything in it it had before, but it doesn't have trash. We can leave it in there. It's just going to be redundant.
So I just want to go to point of order.
Okay.
100% point of order here. We voted to strike it down. The clarification, point of order, little mixture, but so looking at page 12 of 13 that was given to us in tonight's packet, section 19-36 jobs. There's a paragraph that is struck. That is the paragraph in which you are requesting to add back.
Yes.
But there was a vote.
No, there wasn't.
To strike that. We just struck that for good measure.
Nope. He just struck it in his thing. No, what happened was the vote was initially for me there was really a bunch of votes. It was me to make the abandoned vehicles, you had to hide it or put it in your car, put it in your garage. Correct. Couldn't use it, and that got lost. Then there was a vote to divide it into A and B. That was defeated. Then I came back to make a motion, and you said, let's table it.
Now, I'm talking about, I do remember great discussion, and Megan, you had to pull up the minutes, great discussion about scrap copper, brass, rope, rags, batteries, bottles, rubber debris, because then I went, this is a water bottle, it had a purpose.
Yeah.
Once I finished drinking it, and then we had a vote.
I don't remember. And so we voted.
I actually went back and watched that video.
Did we vote down the definition?
I feel like we did, Nate, when you checked the minutes.
What meeting was that? Was it?
I don't know, we were in this room.
It was the last
The
one.
last work session.
My whole point is you can't bring it back up.
I got it. I just, that could be right. If that's true, you're right, then that's true. But I don't remember me just specifically changing that definition.
August 18th.
I just remember the argument.
So this is about trash and junk in yards.
Yeah.
But did we vote on the, for the purpose of this ordinance, junk should mean old or scrap section?
What I can't tell is, did we cross
So
that?
Alex
That's not a question.
made a motion to adopt the following language for trash and junk in yards. No person shall permit trash, garbage, litter, or solid waste which is not in a litter receptacle or is left exposed to the elements invisible from any public road or adjoining private property to remain on the property for a period in excess of 30 days. And then there's a substitute motion to change the wording to household trash, litter, or solid waste.
And that,
Add the one-
so this stretched out for purpose of this ordinance, junk should mean old or scrap copper, brass, rope, rags, batteries, etc. It's in tonight's packet. It's already been struck. Where did that striking come from? Did it come from a vote or?
My argument is, my belief was that this is what was proposed by the administration. They saw how the votes were going, and they came back with this new. They struck it, and they just, this is the original, 9-36 is the original. That's, but I remember arguing, and I just don't remember that
Because what's
definition.
also struck is junk or abandoned vehicles. Because we
Yeah, I didn't even,
didn't do anything with that, so I think this is what staff wrote.
I think it is, and I apologize.
Because it had pools in here too. So I think this is what staff wrote, and staff crossed it out after the last meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing for clarification.
Okay, that's what I think. So I'm gonna make a motion to have the definition of junk, just the way it is now, less the word trash.
Where is that definition of junk?
1076.
Where's
Well,
1076?
actually, 1073. Look at it, could you look at it? It's actually in the code.
Right behind it.
I can try to pull it up on.
You can.
That would be great.
I think it's 1073.
19.
1073, the definition
Which I
of
thought
junk.
the purpose of this was to combine everything in one place.
Commercial junk, fence, junk vehicle, junk yard. Oh, you just wrote on the sacred text.
Did I write on that?
Yes, that's okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
you
on
just want to
sacred
take the word trash.
I make notes in my Bible, Mr. Chairman. That's fine.
Chairman Bowers, sorry, Councilman Bowers, all of those terms are still in here.
1073. Oh, don't touch
Oh, I touched it.
it. Okay.
We're
You're
looking
close,
for
you're close.
junk
Keep going
or
up.
trash.
Keep going up.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Just a touch,
Right there.
one click.
Right there, right there.
That's 1073. That's where it's defined. Now, I don't know if you're gonna move it to 19-36, that what your aim is?
I think that was the original staff aim, was to put it there in one place for the code enforcement officers to have the whole thing right there.
Do we need to have a vote, sorry,
Do you feel that we should put it in that place, 1936, or leave it where it's at?
If council, I know that that's what the code enforcement officers requested. If council's comfortable with that, I don't see any harm.
But have I made a motion yet?
You're in the middle of it.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to take 1073 and put it into 1936 as recommended. That same definition, less the word trash, mainly because we already have trash definitions. We don't need that word trash in junk. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay.
And then my question is it easier, I'll take staff recommendation, is it cleaner under 19-36 junk to just say the definition of junk, see 1073?
You could certainly do.
Or do you just move all of 1073 and get, this is 3 pages.
Yeah, there's a lot more in this because it's talking about commercial junk. Yep, all of that.
So do we even need this whole section? All it is in this section is definitions.
We could probably just leave it in 10 there. So. The idea was that we were gonna pass 5 different things, and they were gonna create a whole different environmental section.
But that didn't happen.
And it didn't happen, so you just got 1 or 2 things. So we could clean this up at
Therefore,
third
you just
reading.
want
and
to
put
take
this up.
trash out of that.
So, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Sure.
Okay, so here's the really cool thing about 1073. It gives you back everything that we've already said. When I say we, I feel like the majority was leaning against, such as inoperable wrecked vehicle with current license plate shall also be considered junk vehicle, motors, industrial commercial fixture, all the things that we abandoned vehicles, all of that is in 1073. So I have the same issue with 1073 that I did with the sections that were struck from 1936. I think if you want to go back to 1936, A, B, C, D, I don't agree with that. Leaving 1073 like it is, we're getting into some private property rights that I have heartburn over that.
But the thing is, that you need to go make motions to go into 1073 and start removing stuff.
So 1073 does not say you can't have this.
I'll make a
Definition of
substantive
junk.
motion that we adopt 1936 A, B, C, and D as listed on page 12 of 13 in tonight's packet. That's my substantive motion.
Okay, I'll second. So basically, 19-36 is already in 1076 now. It's word for word, so you're gonna call it, the only change you're making there is you're calling 1076, you're gonna call it 1936. That's the only substantial change you're making.
I'm gonna make it really small. It's not gonna be all that listed, it's gonna be really small.
To be clear, I don't mean to talk down to you. These are, 1073 is not telling you that anything, these are allowed or not allowed. It's just definition.
So I get that.
So if you struck all of that, then you haven't defined anything.
This is what staff wanted.
I
That
wanted
wanted
that for individuals.
environmental enforcement.
Yeah, if you keep going with this ends up being all sorts of standards for junkyards and buffer yards around those junkyards. This is a big section. What staff wanted is the tool of saying to somebody with junk in their yard, not a commercial junkyard, junk in your yard, hey, get the junk out of here. And y'all voted that down.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion. There you go.
Okay, so what do you recommend? You're recommending this junk definition being 1936?
I'm good with the definition of trash being defined. We move on.
Okay, you're just okay with the word trash being
Yes.
in junk at this point? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because it's in here.
It doesn't.
And I'm also sensing what the will of council is.
So I'm gonna just make a motion to, and we'll see how it goes. The definition of junk, take the word trash out. Right here.
1073.
1073. That was my motion from the beginning. My substitute motion, do I hear a second? Second. All right. Any other discussion? That's fine. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4. Those opposed? Okay, that passes 4-2. All that did was take, so we're done with this. In sum, the word trash was taken out of the junk definition, and we created a trash definition clearer and more detailed. So we did.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, in all seriousness, thank y'all for going back through that. That's the second time we've been through this. This is very important to the code enforcement guys, so they know exactly what the policy determinations of this council are. So we don't enforce things that y'all clearly don't want to be illegal. We do enforce the things that you do. So I appreciate y'all taking the extra time.
Thank you. Okay, we're at the end of the agenda here. We're going to go into executive session for item 3A, contractual matter regarding real property. I'm going to make a motion to do that. Do I hear a second? Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. We're going into executive